Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm George Money Trap Knapp. I'm an investigative journalist, award-winning investigative journalist. You may know me best for the Bob Lazar story, which is a story about flying saucers in Area 51 and a rogue scientist. Except he's not a scientist, and a lot of people prove that. So, but he still worked on flying saucers in Area 51. Even though people proved he's never stepped foot on the base. I have been selling the Bob Lazar story for 35 years. I'm not going to stop now just because of a little thing like evidence, proof. I mean, come on. What do you expect me to do? Get a real job? Look, I got my little local beat in Las Vegas. That's not making the greenbacks, okay? I'm not making any cash being a local Las Vegas reporter. So I needed a story like Bob Lazar, okay? And even though he's a convicted pimp and not a scientist, I believe him. I believe that he worked on those flying saucers. And I know where that Element 115 is. And someday, friends, I'm going to dig it up. And I'm going to prove the story to the world. But in the meantime, I've got money to collect. Why would I show you proof when I'm still collecting the money, okay? And what can I say? There have been people like alien scientists and, Jeremy Rise and... who's that guy, Solar Marshall and Steve Cambion, that have proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Bob Lazar is a fake and a fraud and a convicted pimp liar. But I still love this damn story about working on those flying saucers. Just a great story. I'm going to just keep selling it as long as I can, friends. Yes. Yes, friends, as long as I can, I will be selling this Bob Lazar story, okay? For as very long as I can, I'm going to keep pushing the Bob Lazar money train, okay? I need money. And Bob Lazar is a great story. Who cares if it's fake, okay? I need money. Trying see what my best angle is here. I'm really not quite sure. What can I say? What can I say, friends? Bob Lazar is real, okay? Even if he's a convicted pimp, okay? And not a real scientist. Doesn't mean his story's fake, just because he's fake. Yeah. And I'm selling a lot of other fake stories with my buddy, 4 names, Jeremy Lockerbie, Bopperby, Flopperby, Corbell. He's got 4 names. Yeah. Well, friends, I just want to introduce myself. I'm George Money Trap Knapp, and I need money. Okay? So I gotta keep selling this Bob Lazar story, unfortunately. Bob, he likes hookers. So what? A lot of guys like hookers. Doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
We grifters, 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 we grifters.
Shape the emerging UAP narrative. Remember those words, folks. Shape the emerging UAP narrative. Remember those words, folks.
I'm an intel guy. 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 I'm an intel guy.
We grifters, 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 we grifters.
Multiple whistleblowers.
Luis Elizondo.
Multiple whistleblowers.
Luis Elizondo.
Multiple whistleblowers.
Luis Elizondo.
Multiple whistleblowers.
Luis Elizondo.
We grifters, we grifters.
Remember those words.
We grifters, we grifters.
Remember those words.
We grifters, we grifters. We grifters, we grifters. We grifters, we grifters. We grifters, we grifters.
Louis Elizondo, Louis Elizondo. 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 Louis Elizondo, Louis Elizondo.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. It would appear there may be some rift between the dynamic duo of bullshittery, and that would be George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, because recently George Knapp has launched the Bigelow podcast, which is more like the bullshittery podcast, leading many to speculate, why wouldn't he just bring Bob Bigelow on to the podcast with Jeremy Corbell and him? Why would he cut Jeremy Corbell out? And it might be the numbers. Look at the numbers. I don't think there's enough money there for George Knapp. And George Knapp, by the way, he's very blessed. He has a super hot, super young wife. So he always needs money to keep the hot, young wife happy, right? And so apparently, or allegedly, or this is rumors and speculation, people are saying that he's cutting Jeremy Corbell out of the bullshit money train because Bob Bigelow is his source. For those unaware, Bob Bigelow is the reason that so much UFO bullshit is out in the world. He's the guy who once owned Skinwalker Ranch before Brandon Fugel. He's the guy who people would get drunk and fax paranormal activity reports to that they would just make up. That's been proven. He's the guy who somehow convinced the government to give him $22 million so he could study werewolves, dino beavers, portals, aliens, bulletproof dogmen, and bulletproof or werewolves and wolf creatures that follow people home, demons, and all kinds of stuff. Oh, and also UFOs. So somehow the True Believer crowd treats Bob Bigelow like some kind of, oracle of UFO and alien knowledge. But the truth is, there's just an awful lot of bullshittery, fakery, and fraud involved with both these two, George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. After all, George Knapp is the guy who brought us the fakest UFO whistleblower ever. Bob Lazar, don't get me started, convicted pimp fake scientist who really liked hookers. He ran a whorehouse, wasn't a real scientist, never worked for the government, never stepped foot in Area 51. We've proven all of this. So we'll take a moment to welcome in the Kick Live chat, wherever you're chatting, whether you're chatting on our Twitch feed, our Kick feed, or right here at our home base on YouTube. We welcome all of you, and we're glad to see so many people, especially over there in the Kick chat. And I just want to take a moment to remind everybody that we are a viewer-supported show. Unlike George Knapp and Bob Bigelow, I can't just lie and sell you fakery and fraud. Oh, George Knapp also sold us the fakest shit skinwalkers at the Pentagon story. It was all fake. He admitted on Joe Rogan, there's no evidence. Yeah, there's no evidence. Wait, your book said that the book was based on a mountain of evidence. No, there's really no evidence. He admitted that. I'm not going to play the clips again. You guys have seen him so many times. So we're probably going to get straight into the video. I'm going to take a moment to put up my fair use banner because these grifters do not like me making fun of them. And by the way, we started the show with I was supposed to host the whole show with that getup, but honestly, it's like 100 degrees in here. It's 80 something outside, but where I stream from, it's like 100, and I can't run the air conditioner because then the audio people cry like bitches because there's a little hum in the background of the audio. The sound man at the local bar is totally offended by an air conditioner running in a room I stream in. So I'll suffer from my art and not run the air conditioner. But that means I can't keep that mask on for 2 hours. So I apologize, but I did sort of start the show with the screen test of that.
It's not quite ready too. It's not quite ready. So we'll welcome in the live chat. Remind you we're a viewer-supported show. I'm going to be reading every single super chat tonight. I'm going to be reading all the kicks. If you send kicks, I'm going to be reading people who became subscribers on Kick. I'm going to be reading people who gifted subs on Kick, people who gifted memberships, people who send a PayPal pledge or buy me a beer. No matter where you support us, we love and appreciate you, especially right now. YouTube is changing its monetization policies, and quite honestly, it's already barely, enough for me to keep going doing the show. And I want the show to survive. We're just going to have to find new revenue sources. I don't know if I'm going to have to start selling that get the tea, shit yourself tea again or something. Look, some of you people in my audience might have to shit yourself and get explosive diarrhea to support the show. Okay. We got to make sure the show survives, right? And we thank you all for your kindness. The Honeysuckle Ranch. Oh, Lordy. Yes. Bless the goal for the Napster. Yes, there is a goal tonight. We haven't hit a goal in quite some time. I'm going to be counting everything towards the goal. I'm going to be doing a Dark Side Phil style. Do the math. I'll convert the Mexican pesos and the I don't know, the Netherlands dollars into America. I'll figure it out, and we'll see if we hit a goal. We'll do a wackadoo of the week. It's probably the last show of the week, live show for us, but I have an incredible bunch of deep dives. We've got one on Richard Dolan. We've got this is my favorite story ever. One of my favorite stories, anyway, that I've ever done here is the story of David Jacobs. And for those unaware, he was a Temple University professor. And David Jacobs, he decided that it would be a good idea if he asked women that were abducted by aliens, if he asked them for their panties. But it was for science, right? It was all for science. Ooh, what is going on here? Oh, there we go. No, still not right. Jesus, what is going on? There we go. So this Thursday, this is one of my favorite stories. This guy asked women, he was a Temple University professor, and he asked women to send him their panties for science because he wanted to check if their panties had any alien spooge in them that he could, I don't know, lick it, I don't know, drink it, sniff it, I don't know, but this panty sniffer alien guy, it's one of the funniest stories ever. And by the way, it's just one story in this whole compilation. I've put together a compilation of some of the funniest stories that we've produced here. And this we call Comic Disclosure because sometimes you just have to laugh, my friends. And then we've also got Richard Dolan deep dive too. He's kind of popping up again. And I just, people tell me to take it easy on Richard Dolan, but no, I won't because, I just sampled some of his content. And one of the things he does that drives me nuts is he states things as facts without any evidence to support those facts. And he does it all studiously and serious. Like, it would appear that the United States government is definitely in possession of retrieved alien spacecraft and even alien bodies. Well, where's the fucking evidence, Richard Dolan? So we've got a deep dive on Richard Dolan this weekend, and I know it's a little early for this, but we've also got a whole deep dive into demons, demonology, exorcism, and ghosts. And the reason we're doing this is, well, one of the reasons is I recently had to exorcise my house. Got the sage out and everything. Said the prayer to Saint Michael. That's a long story, but it involves my son who suddenly decided that one of my puppets was possessed. And the weird thing is that puppet has been on that shelf for years, and he's never cared. But suddenly he's spending more time in the basement. He's got a little video game system nook down there now, and suddenly decided that the puppet was possessed, but it wasn't possessed. And we did this prayer to Saint Michael, the prayer to his guardian angel, and he's okay now. But he was truly upset. This stuff is kind of scary. But anyway, we've included that because I think it's an interesting topic. Maybe we'll get back to some of that stuff. One moment here. FF9000 is the last kick supporter with a hell yeah. And before that, it was Jeremy Handley Loves Men, who says, Suffer Pigler with 500 kicks. We love the kick support. Thank you for that. All right, we're going to get right into the video. I have a limited amount of time this evening. I have to pack up for the cabin tomorrow. I did get some good news today, which is extremely good news. You guys have heard me say for years that I need to get a four-wheel drive truck. And I finally got a used four-wheel drive truck. It's pretty old. It's from 1992. But I don't care how old it is. I care what kind of condition the vehicle is in. And this vehicle is in tip-top shape, except for the ugly paint, which we can fix with some rattle cans. But I took it to my mechanic to get an oil change, get all the fluids topped off, and I have him just check it out and make sure there was nothing major wrong with it. And he came back with a glowing report. He said that truck is in incredible condition. He asked how much I paid for it, and then he told me that I stole it. Somebody that works with him or for him want to know if I want to sell the truck. No, it's taken me years to finally get a truck. But the good news is there's no major, nothing needs to be replaced. The suspension is good. The frame is good. The brakes are good. The tires are great. They're brand new tires on it. The battery's brand new. There's a new fuel pump and fuel lines and even a new fuel tank. This old guy that I bought it from, is kind of his hobby. Like, keep replacing parts on it till you've replaced the whole truck. Gave me this huge folder of receipts for the parts. He did it so I don't have to. But the good news is this thing is in great condition, right? Yes, and it's only got, that's right. It's got 200,000 miles on it. But you know what? A good Ford Ranger, that's what it is. It's a 92 Ford Ranger, short bed, flare side, right? Those are good for 500,000 miles if you take care of them. And this truck is very well taken care of, very well maintained. And it's really going to help me a lot with the cabin stuff and the cabin projects and all the building projects. My first thing is to get a load of gravel. I need a load of gravel to level out the floor in the new cabin. It's not going to take me 4 trips with my shitty Mazda 5 4-cylinder car that can only take 300-400 pounds at a time. Just throw it all in the back of the truck and finish that project. I love it. All right, so we'll get to this. We'll get to the video. Share this tab. One moment. I don't know why we're having issues, but we are lately. Yeah. Oh, and I mentioned, YouTube is changing their monetization policies. I don't think it's really going to affect us because it mostly affects people that produce shorts, especially people like Jeremy Hambley who steal shorts, right? But it does suck because we were about to get the Clips channel monetized, and now they doubled what you need in watch time in order to monetize the Clips channel. So fuck Spooky. Just saying, that was going to be Spooky's job. Fuck Spooky. Spooky doesn't need any money, right? The universe just kicks you in the teeth. Both Spooky and I worked very hard on producing a bunch of clips and getting that channel going, getting the watch time up. We were this close. We would have hit the monetization in a couple more weeks. Now they're changing the monetization policy, and it's going to take us another, I think we've been working on the channel, just in the background, but still for like a year. Now it's going to take us another year to get the watch time going, right? I don't know what else to do. We're going to try to figure it out. But here's George Knapp with his new podcast partner, Bob Bigelow, who, by the way, is a billionaire, which is proof that no matter how much money you have, you could still be a wackadoo. You could still be a complete and total wackadoo. And I just want to cite fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public. We're critiquing the video. I'm going to be sharing your comments on screen, right? Oh, geez, nice. We've got history deniers in the live chat. Look, don't do that in my live chat. Go do that in some political live stream. This is not the place for that. Okay, my father has someone in Florida. Things don't die. The same one. Oh, the truck. Yeah. Ford Rangers are notorious. Oh, look at this. The webcam is having a really hard time with my shirt because it's kind of 3D. Wow, that's interesting. I always forget not to wear this shirt. Every time I do it, I'm reminded that the webcam does not like this shirt. It's bizarre. Anyway, I apologize. Old Joy Division shirt. Yeah, those Ford Rangers are notoriously like you can't kill them as long as you change the oil and keep replacing the parts that wear out, like brakes and tires and calibers occasionally, whatever. They will run forever. That's what my brother just said, and he's a mechanic as well. So both my mechanic and my brother is like, good job. You got a good truck. Let's hope it does well for us.
It's been a very long time.
At the beginning, when I first knew you back in the late 80s, the idea of disclosure was such a far off concept. It really wasn't even, we're trying to figure out what's real, what do people know, what do we need to know.
Yeah, and by the way, I just want to say that disclosure is a fake concept that's been around for 80 years. For 80 years, people have been saying, you can check back at least to the 50s. The early contactees were saying, well, I have friends in government, and my friends in government are telling me that the government's soon going to admit that aliens are visiting Earth. That's been happening. People have been saying this shit since the 50s. We're no closer to that.
But the idea of someone announcing disclosure, whether that's the president or the Pope or something like that, was just such a faraway idea.
The subject was made fun of. It was a joke.
Yeah.
And
it's still a joke, some would say.
Mostly by a lot of the media propagated that.
Right.
Right.
I've been on the receiving end of that,
Yeah.
and you have too. But now it's not so far away anymore. I mean, the idea of disclosure is being discussed. Early this year, the president issued a directive, said, start releasing information on these files. Now, it's been a little disappointing what's been released so far, and I don't know who's in charge of what.
This is an interesting set, but I think he's using a set at News 8 in Las Vegas. I don't know.
What gets released.
He's free to correct me.
At least it's happened, and he's acknowledged that it's something he wants to share with the public. That's an amazing step to come that far. But you had a chance to speak directly with the president and urged him to go even further earlier this year. When did that happen?
So I was in the process for several months putting together a series of reports on 7 different topics.
Yeah, and this is crazy. This fucking wackadoo who's wasted $22 million of government money hunting fucking skinwalkers and werewolves and dino beavers and portals and bulletproof wolves and dogmen and all this. He's got access to the president. He can go to the White House and meet with the president. And why is that? Because apparently this guy gave millions of dollars to Trump's campaign.
And UAPs, ET, and disclosure was one of the topics. And so when I was ready, I asked to see him. And so February the 6th, I was in the Oval Office with the president, and there was a staff secretary by the name of William Scharf, SCHARF.
I can't believe they let this wackadoo meet with the president.
With the president,
that's crazy to me.
And I had concerns about dumping so much information on him at one time, and I asked Susie.
Yeah, overload him with crazy.
Susie Wiles.
Yeah. Susie Wiles. Shouldn't I hold back and maybe only give him 2 or 3 papers? And she said, no.
No,
said,
give him all the crazy,
give him
Bob
everything.
Bigelow. Give him all the
I
crazy.
can tell you this. It may take him a while, but he will eventually read it all. I said, okay, I'll do it.
You don't know how much time you've got with him.
Smoking dogs are the best.
I figure it's probably more than 30 minutes, but I don't know. And as it turned out, we were finished in about an hour and 15 or 20 minutes. But I could have taken 2 days because these were complex.
We're in the middle of a war. Inflation is out of control. Gas prices are rising. The price of oil is going up. Utility costs are going through the roof. And our United States president is wasting an hour and 15 minutes talking to this fucking wackadoo that believes in smoking dogs at a spooky ranch. Awesome. Awesome.
And on the disclosure UAP ET subject, which is always great fun to talk about, that's a really important one. It's super important.
What was your goal going in? What was the one thing you wanted to convey to him on that topic?
The My Pillow guy
come out and have him understand.
Of course, because he contributed to his
in such
campaign.
a short period of time. I only had an average of like 11 minutes
is
per
give the
paper
president millions
to
before he's
talk
the president.
about a paper. I wish I had a lot more, but
Fair
let me
point,
read
Alpin.
to you
Yes.
something I told him I wanted him to say verbatim. and I described where he should say it, not where.
Yeah, this is great. This wackadoo is telling the president, yeah, tell everybody the aliens are real. Great. RP 708 with one for the goal. The first of the night, friends. The first of the night. And he says, the only Bigelow whose opinion I care about is Bam Bam. Oh, yeah, from WWF. I remember Bam Bam Bigelow, the bald guy, and he had his whole head was tattooed with like flames. Bam Bam Bigelow. That guy could do cartwheels at that size. I'll subscribe to his newsletter. That is correct, RP708. And you know, I may have met Bam Bam Bigelow at one of my brother-in-law's events. I met a lot of older WWF stars who come to do the indie shows, you know. I think that I did meet him once. He's an interesting character, and he was still huge when I met him, but I think not in a good way. Like he put on a lot of weight, RP708. But I could be misremembering. I don't know. I met a lot of older WWF stars. But thank you, RP708, for the trip down WWF memory lane and the first support of the stream. I'm going to start yelling at everybody, right? I'm going to rage quit this interview.
Podium existed, and a lot of media existed. But I said, I want you to, for example, deliver this statement. As you are getting onto Air Force One, and you're about to go through the hatchway through the door, but you stop and talk to the media, and you might say something like, I just want you to hear something. I want to make a statement. And I would said, and this is what I want you to say, Mr. President. A non-human intelligent presence has been on Earth for a very long time, using spacecraft and with performances completely beyond our capabilities and our human physics.
And here we go again, the typical trope line of UFO true nutter believers. These things defy the laws of physics. We have nothing in our arsenal that can do that. There is no available sensor data or evidence, radar tapes, or anything that prove that UFOs defy the laws of physics. None. There's no evidence, real hard evidence of alien visitation on Earth. There's no hard evidence of alien spacecraft visiting Earth, or that their alien spacecraft exhibit capabilities beyond human technology. There is none.
And that's it. To say nothing else. That's it. That's all. Because what this is disclosure, and it's actually confirmation. And the two are welded together. These are wedded together. And confirmation has not been officially made by any president that I know of. And has not. They've had different kinds of conversations and so
Pig Monster 220 says Bam Bam was the best Bigelow.
A really good close friend of mine verified, Harry Reid, who he and I were very good friends for many, many years, verified with Bill Clinton that he didn't know about the subject. And this was, I think,
Bob Bigelow was very close friends with Senator Harry Reid. He contributed a whole bunch of money to Harry Reid's campaigns, and then Harry Reid sort of tit for tat paid him back, right, by giving him $22 million to study his own spooky ranch. And what do we get for that $22 million? Nothing. A bunch of written reports about nonsense with no evidence to support any of the stories whatsoever.
Second term. And there was a staffer that wrote a book, and he referred to a conversation that he and that Bill Clinton had, President Clinton had, and it involved when President Clinton said to him,
Cosmic Neighbors
before I leave
here.
office,
I haven't
there
seen
are two
him in a
things I
while.
really want
he
to
fell
know.
off the earth for a
What
while.
the hell
But he's
is
back.
the
Welcome
UFO
back, Ron.
subject all about,
Cosmic Neighbors.
and who really killed JFK?
Now that I believe.
Yeah, his aide was Webb Hubble, who got the assignment
yes.
to go
Bill
dig
Clinton
into
has
this.
said those
Yes.
two
And he
things.
didn't get the
That he
answer.
was.
So Harry took the book.
Right.
So I gave him the book, and I showed him where on page so-and-so I said that. So he met with the President Clinton. He said, did you say this? And Clinton said, hell yes. Would you like to know the answers to those two things, He said, absolutely, I would.
I mean, the sense that we have, after digging into this topic for a long time, presidents come and presidents go,
Oop,
and they
what happened?
have varying
Wait a
degrees of interest
we
in the
go.
topic and varying degrees of knowledge of it, right? If they don't push it, they're not going to find out. Is that your sense
Please
of it?
remember
Absolutely.
to like and share
Absolutely.
these
You have to-
videos. It really does
somebody
help.
has to be
and
the
subscribe.
driving
Huge
horse
boost to our
to
channel
pull
if
that
you
wagon.
subscribe.
And it can't let go.
I suppose even if they do press it and push it, they don't necessarily get briefed.
Oh, well, they will not have anything to do. They will not know anything about unacknowledged SAPs,
That's weird.
for sure. And only on
There
a
we go.
really serious need-to-know basis would they have anything to do with acknowledged SAPs. TSSCI.
This is the usual excuse. Oh, the president just doesn't. He's not briefed about the alien situation. Bullshit. The president can get briefed on anything he wants to. He's the classifying authority. John 338 with one for the goal. Big support from John 338. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. He says, for the goal and the wackadoos. And yeah, we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and big support of the show. Praise the cash.
Praise the cash.
A big praise to cash going out to Stuckelberg's dog, who says, great shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts from the 90s. But it's really not from the 90s. These were originally from the 80s, but I got mine in the 90s. I would venture to guess that Joy Division made more money selling this specific shirt than they made selling all of their music. Because for a time, everybody I knew had this shirt. But thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support.
Praise the cash.
We missed it early on, so we want to thank RP708 with the praise the cash as well. Thank you for your kindness. You guys going to make it rain up in here today? We could use a little rain. All right, let's continue on our journey here, and I'll check in with the
It's
chat
nowhere near close enough.
moment.
That was only clearances that we had. Top secret, special compartmental information. That's not even remotely close enough.
Oh,
Well, let's go back to Donald Trump.
it's
Him.
it's very.
I mean, it's not
the
like you're
alien
hanging out and
secrets
going
are very
bowling on Saturday nights,
classified.
but your friends, you've supported him over the years. A lot of money, a lot of donations in his campaigns. You know him. You've been to Mar-a-Lago. He
Yeah,
calls you from
awful
time
lot
to
of
time.
donations.
So the chance to sit down and talk with him on this topic, that's the first time you've talked to him about it, right?
Well, it was a big honor to be in the Oval Office and being able to brief him on so many different kinds of really sensitive, important topics, and including this one. And
here's something I want to say too.
It was a lot.
Unlike Dr. Stephen Greer, who claims he briefed presidents, I believe 100% that Bob Bigelow did meet with the president, whether you want to call it a briefing, a meeting, and give him materials and talk to him about the aliens. Because Bob Bigelow has given millions of dollars, this is public information, millions of dollars to Donald Trump's campaigns. Millions and millions of dollars. So obviously, if somebody's giving millions of dollars to your campaign and they want to come and talk to you at the White House, you're going to let them. You're going to let them.
A lot of fun.
We'll come back to the other
Unlike
topics
Greer,
at some
who's a
point in
liar.
the future conversations.
He
I
never
hope this is the
briefed
first
anything.
of many that we have. But you prepare a document for him and what you want to convey in that time period. And then there's additional material in that document. Like what? What'd you have in there?
Well, so first I said, okay, we got to clear. The Resolute desk is a very famous desk, and that's what he was sitting behind. I said, we're going to have to clear half of this stuff off the desk. So William, the staff secretary there, we were grabbing
That's balls. Excuse me, Mr. President. Get all your shit off the desk so I can put all my alien shit on your desk.
things and sorry, we were grabbing things, and so we made room for these 7 different stacks of reports that I'm leaving behind. They were more than just one copy, and so.
Do you think that maybe Donald Trump has more important things to do than read hundreds of pages worth of this wackadoo's nonsense, faith-based religion, faith-based belief system, when there's no fucking evidence to support anything that Bigelow says? And by the way, Bigelow says the general, UFO mythology. Oh, the government's hiding aliens. There's been crash retrievals. They have bodies. They have technology. There's no evidence of this. It's just this guy believes it so strongly.
So that's how it started, and we got into the topic about the UAP topic and disclosure, and we had. I remember talking at some time about the
Texted from his
gatekeepers.
fundraisers.
So
Yes,
this
God bless
disclosure
the
is a
gold.
process, and I was I was emphasizing that the disclosure process, starting with confirmation, is a big deal.
Chili
That,
Chol
you know,
Chol
it really is
says
important
Trump
for
begs for money
somebody like the
more
president
than
of the United States to
DSP.
say, yeah, they're real, they're here, and eliminate all the other nonsense, all the noise
Yeah,
that's
and they
been
do
going on for 80
devious things.
years.
You know what somebody did to me once? They came to my home and knocked on my door, and they said, I've got a $25 gift certificate. And I think it was for a local place called Nifty 50s, which is like, it's like a burger joint that's 50s themed. And my kids love that place. They're like, oh, we've got a $25 gift certificate if you sign up for this newsletter. And all I need is your name and phone number. And I gave it to them. And yeah, I got like 20 texts a day begging me for money for months and months and months. They do devious shit for $25. I sold my soul to Donald Trump or somebody. I think it was just a Republican Party, because they were texting me for the senators and the congressmen and Trump and everything.
And so I wanted him to focus on gatekeepers.
Yeah,
And I emphasize
Republican
these
Party,
people
yeah.
because they're the ones that are in government locations.
And now they're still texting
and
me
private
because the
corporation
midterms are coming up.
locations that have spent their substantial lives or careers.
Oh yeah, I took Spooky for cheesesteaks
working
there when
in-
Spooky was
in
here at my
very,
home. Yeah,
secluded
it's
environments.
a cool place. Good food.
And they have custody of
Patty gun.
The goods.
more information than they are diamonds in a coal mine. They have obtained information about ET themselves,
Oh come on.
about hardware.
And again, all of this is trust me, bro stories. He has no evidence of anything he's claiming here.
Other countries are working on this exact same thing. So you have to be careful not to talk about things that would give other people advantages and so on. And the gatekeepers, I've told people
Damn it, Share
that
3000
they're
is
heroes of
blocking
a
the
different
Trump
kind.
text every day.
A lot of
Text and
people
email
would
saying
laugh
it's
at
my
that,
fault. Maggot
but
is
it's true.
losing. Yeah, it is your
It's
fault.
true.
You give them some money.
They go to their graves taking information that their
Yeah,
spouses
they don't order large
have
fries
never
at that
heard.
place.
Their
They give you
children
this
have never
fucking
heard. They
bucket
can't
of
talk about
French
it to
fries.
any friend. They're isolated about that.
You donated,
and
Trump.
after a
That was
while,
your
I
first
think that
mistake.
must be a burden, to hold those kinds of secrets. I remember I was talking to Sappho Henderson one time, and Pappy
Yeah, we've never
Henderson
covered
was
that.
her
Maybe we
husband.
will, Richard
And
Warner. We never covered that.
she said, "Well,
case.
we were in the grocery store one time, and there's an article in there in one of the magazines about it's finally been revealed about ETs and aliens.
Yeah, like that National Enquirer.
And they're in the line,
What else is in the
getting their
grocery
groceries,
store?
and he says, "Oh my God, Safi," he says, I guess it's out now. I can actually tell you what I've been doing all these years." He was one of the
This
pilots
is an old
of,
Bigelow story.
one of the cargo planes taking from Roswell in the crash retrieval.
And by the way, this is bullshit because the pilots that took the Roswell debris to Wright Pat are on record. We know who they were. And this person he's mentioning is not on that list. So this is a completely and totally fake story, in my opinion.
of Roswell in 47. And so, and then she said to me, well, later,
That's
and
true.
her daughter was
That's
there
true
too.
too. Money for
she was
access.
relating the story. He had since passed away, but she said it was so funny because he said, I wasn't supposed to know that because the article really wasn't an expose of fact and of truth.
It was like the Weekly World News talking
it
about
was
Roswell.
just a cover story to get attention. So you're buying the magazine,
Yeah, in other words, it was the National Enquirer of the World Weekly News, a total rag.
where you check out. And so, and he said, oh, well,
there he
he
is.
said, God,
Yeah.
he said, I probably shouldn't have.
One
He said, I
second.
guess it was just
I
something
changed brands.
that was out there in the magazine, and I
This
shouldn't
is
have
fair use,
told you
transformative work.
anything.
We're
So don't
educating
say
the public.
anything to
We're
anybody.
critiquing the video. We're
But
sharing.
that was really my first realization about how
I've heard he is, but I don't know that
how
for a fact.
private
Patty.
that information is kept with everybody involved, for for unacknowledged
Yeah, they
and
are.
acknowledged
They like
SAP.
shame you into giving
Let's
them
go
more
back to
money.
the beginning of this meeting. So you go in, you've got 7 papers, issues that you want to discuss with him, UAP, ET, disclosure being one of them. You walk into the office, you don't know how much time you're going to have. And for purposes of our conversation, you can't tell me and our listeners, you can't say what the president said, right?
No, I can't.
So you can only tell me what you told him. But
Right.
you go into it with an idea of not just things in the sky
These
floating around,
grifters,
some
man.
mystery.
Yeah,
We've got the
grifters.
goods. Somewhere there are crashes.
We started the show with weak grifters.
Do you tell
for
them
a
that
reason.
there are bodies, that there are crash retrieval vehicles of unknown origin, or how specific do you get on that?
I basically I focused on him and how to prepare himself if he's not already prepared. And
You prepare
it's not
yourself
normal for
to
a
live in a
businessman
delusional fantasy world.
to be a researcher in these kinds of topics, survival of consciousness beyond permanent bodily death or UFOs and ETs. That's
Exactly.
not normal.
Yes, exactly.
And so I was advising him to try to be as quick a study as he can.
Troll says, just don't start sending me texts begging for money. Okay, too late. I'm already on the case, right? I'm already on the case. But we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support in helping us too.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Correct. Let us praise the cash, friends. It is the summer slump, so every dollar helps. By the way, I read every single super chat and thank every single person contributing to the show and supporting the stream. And God bless all of you doing so.
Because he's
Even you kick brokies throwing pennies at me.
going to be getting advice from a lot of different folks. And so he needs to do all that he can to find responsible material to read from really good authors and reliable books that
yeah. Why don't you tell him to read Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, but tell him before he reads it that Bob, that your fucking podcast partner here lied to everybody saying that the book was based on all this evidence, and then he admitted on Joe Rogan that there was no evidence.
you can trust.
And government agencies, the people that work for him.
And that's tough. Yeah,
that's true.
Because
they believe in something that they can't prove.
They can be distant from. So it depends on whether they've heard it second hand, first, second, third, or fourth hand, fifth hand.
Culty
first hand would be you've actually experienced it yourself. But are you third hand or fourth hand, or how far down the chain
here
are you in terms of the information
and you know what? I don't
that's
know.
been relayed to you, and how much is that conversation?
Part of the problem with our critical needs for funds is my own fault, because for some reason, all of the annual payments are in the summer. I just had to pay Twitter $85. StreamYard, the software we use, tried to take $850 from me. It's crazy. It all hits in the summer when our fundraising is not so great.
Changed.
And the views are not so great and the attendance is not so great. Not that I'm complaining. It's just a statement of fact.
Has it been passed on?
I'm trying to climb out of it now.
Passed on from person
Get
to
back
person.
is it the red or the black?
And
black.
Really, if you got just a short glimpse of
get
something,
out of the red and
going
get
down
into
a
the
hallway,
black.
looking into a window or somewhere where normally you shouldn't have been, maybe, but you were escorted by a friend.
PPP's unwashed penis.
And maybe you
Just
saw something
throw a penny at
that
praise the cash,
was
penny
dramatic,
bitches.
but all you saw was a tip
Penny
of an iceberg.
brokies.
You really didn't understand the
Yes,
fundamentals
please do
of
share
what
the
you
show on
saw.
your social media. It really
You might have
does
saw
help.
a being, or you might have seen a structure. And so it's tricky as to when you're talking to human beings about anything. It's tricky as to what they're revealing.
Oh, yeah,
All
it's
right.
tricky.
You're conveying to him, this is real. You need to pay attention to it. You should probably make an announcement at some point, but don't go too far. And you're conveying to him it's serious, and that there have been people who've been keeping this secret for a long time, including probably from him. I mean, he's made statement.
And this is all UFO mythology. They have no proof or evidence to support anything that they're both saying. This old trope that the deep state is hiding the aliens, even from the president, or it's 27 levels above top secret and the president can't even see it. That is all bullshit. The president is the ultimate classifying authority. He decides what people can see or not somebody else in the government.
It's here and there, offhanded remarks about UFOs, etc.
He's not entitled to know. On unacknowledged SAPs or even acknowledged SAPs, basically, presidents of the United States, and this is kind of rough because
yeah, the Bass organization, right? It does kind of look like a log cabin. Seems like they're copying from Tucker Carlson's
in 30-year admirals and generals. I mean, that's just, everybody kind of knows that's been around. Politicians come and they go. And
yeah, they always need that new crop of believers to sell their bullshit. Yeah.
So 30-year admirals and generals are much more, in the eyes of folks, people who will stay the course because they're not running for an election. They're not going to be here just for 4 years or 8 years, or if they're a senator for a term of 6 or 12 or 18 or whatever. But
this is also old
their
trope.
life is not to please the public. It's not, their life isn't compromised by being a politician. So admirals and generals
and intelligence agency
and intelligence officers, of course, but they're not trying to please the public all the time. They're not trying to try to find compromises between two very diverse, large groups of folks and trying to make as many people happy as they can.
So you're conveying to him there are people who know about this stuff that have not told you because you're a temporary occupant of the White House. I don't think you want to say it that way, but
it's true.
Do you have a sense that he'd ever been briefed? We've read conflicting reports that there have been briefings for him on this topic. You can't quote what he told you, but did you get a sense that he'd ever been told about the goods?
I can't comment really on body language or comments that he said or anything like that because I don't want to do that to him.
Right.
I don't want to reveal anything. It's not my business.
Here we go again. I know secrets, but I can't tell you. Another common UFO trope for these fucking... And we titled today's show Paranormal Pushers. This fucking billionaire clown has been pushing paranormal bullshit for 20, 30 years. And how much evidence does he have to support his paranormal pushing? None. He has no evidence of anything.
It's just a messenger. I was just kind of a person that's trying to give him information.
I can't show you proof.
Topics.
Exactly.
All of them were important. And that's it. And have my 75 minutes and
madness can lead to belief.
Would you guess, based on what you know about the topic and how it's been handled over the decades,
actually reveal
would you guess that he had been briefed or that any other presidents had been briefed? You know that Bill Clinton was not, even though he expressed an interest in it. So at some point, the president has to be told, no, we can't tell you.
I think Bush Sr. knew quite a bit because he was the head of the CIA.
Who's going to tell President? No,
Nixon
we're
did.
not telling you. You don't have a need to know.
I think Eisenhower did.
Bullshit.
So
yes, just trust
kind of
me,
hit and miss over the period of history as to who has and who hasn't.
Can you tell us what would be in the briefing document that you left behind? Was it cases? Here's a wave of UFOs. Here's a case. Here was a crash. Anything like that?
I related conversations I have had with General de Brouwer, who was the chief of the Air Force for Belgium, and there was a very interesting flap that it was about 18 months long with triangle.
How much you want to bet this general's dead or nobody can get to him to verify that he told Bigelow this stuff? They love using foreign military people. Like, well, I talked to the department. I talked to the head of defense for the French Air Force, and he told me this. It's another old grifter trick.
Triangular craft, and he was in command of all the Air Force, and he really chased the heck out of these. And he told me, he said, Bob, I'm just burning fuel, and it makes no sense. He said, we're going to stop because we're not getting anywhere. All we're doing is getting closer, photographs and things, but we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting any information that is really valuable for us to understand anything, And I gave him other examples of where large amounts of witnesses were involved, and so that he could read about these particular incidences.
Yeah, hit that like button.
And of course,
Please
the one
hit
with
the
5
like
Simonton
button. We need your
in
help.
97 was so interesting because there you had a governor who was
Yes,
an actual
Alfie.
witness.
This is
And he
mythology.
made a joke of it and brought a guy in an alien suit on stage because he was scared to death.
It's the Phoenix Lights case.
The Phoenix
right?
Lights, which weren't just lights. It was actually friggin' craft.
No, it was
and it came
just
from
lights.
northern Arizona. I think it started actually in southern Nevada is where the craft began.
You spend an awful lot of money on near-death
in the Henderson
experiences.
area, I think, somewhere in there.
What happens after we die right now?
So you see this huge triangular craft, gigantic craft going slowly. And he was
Chicken
scared
noodle
to death.
soup
But
and
finally,
breadcrumbs.
fast forward
Yes.
10 years later, and he confesses that he was an eyewitness, but he didn't know what to do. So he was there at a point in time when the dynamic of disclosure could have been forced, and actually a confirmation could have been from a governor of the state like that. He was a credible guy. So we've had many incidences like that where they, in the early 50s, flying over the White House and the Capitol building. We've had so many of those.
That was weather
so
anomaly.
in my report,
the 50s sighting over the White House was weather anomalies. That's been proven categorically.
I included a lot of very dramatic.
That's another grifter paranormal pusher tactic. Just ignore the debunks that prove that it wasn't anything out of this world or spectacular or paranormal or alien. Just ignore the debunks from credible real scientists that figured out what people saw.
Beyond a reasonable doubt kind of witnesses of exhibitions.
Did you share with him anything about your knowledge of a classified program?
No.
You got a top secret security clearance, right?
Yeah.
It was for the OSAP program for BASS.
Right.
Operated under the DIA.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasted $22 million. Why don't you tell your audience that this guy wasted $22 million studying werewolves and dogmen and smoking dogs and fucking dino beavers and poltergeists and demons, you dumbass? Because here's the thing. If you just watch this, it seems like this guy's credible. Like, oh, he's got a top secret clearance. If you got to know the history of the people pushing the paranormal nonsense.
You learned a lot during that program. It's the largest accumulation of UFO info of any government-funded UFO program ever.
Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yes.
You didn't tell him about it.
It wasn't credible enough, I felt, for him.
Good one-off
It's
material.
just something pertaining to me. And whereas these other examples
Dino
are
beavers,
historic.
yes.
And
They saw
they're in
dino
a lot of
beavers,
literature.
man.
They're very
No
famous. The
pictures, no
witnesses,
videos,
the
but
amount
we
of
definitely
witnesses
saw
were
dino
huge.
beavers.
We operated under a private situation with the Skinwalker Ranch, and he wouldn't relate to. Well, we all had hitchhikers. We all took things home with us.
Weather phenomenon
we all
happens,
saw a
though.
lot of stuff.
I believe the
whether
weather
it was at the
phenomenon
ranch
explanation.
or
Just so
where
you
we
know.
lived, and it didn't make any difference where in the United
Yeah,
States
we'll have
we
to do
lived.
that.
We saw a lot of things, but that wouldn't be relevant for him to be able to relate to that, right?
Well,
So
One and
why
done.
talk about it?
yeah, I mean, you're kind of jumping into the deep end of the pool when you
Yeah.
get into hitchhikers and skinwalker.
Yeah,
It's maybe for your first big conversation on this topic, that might not be the place to go.
No,
Yeah, maybe not
and
tell the
didn't
president
even-
about the
I couldn't
dino
even. If he
beavers.
said, "Well, I need a beer," I couldn't even give him something to drink. Maybe stronger than that. So I didn't want to do any.
You used the term non-human intelligence in the sentence you gave him. Hey, try this as you're climbing aboard Air Force One. Say that to media, and then close the door.
Right.
You said non-human intelligence, not ET. Are they the same? And did you share anything with him about what you think it is?
Well, there have been reports of humans on board, right? But the non-human are more interesting. I mean, if a human's on board
that's fine.
and he or she
That's
has
fine.
free
People
reign
are
of the
free to
craft,
believe what they want.
that's pretty
right?
damn interesting.
I looked at the
right?
evidence. I
But-
think it
and
was
you don't know where
truly
those
just
people
weather
are
phenomenon.
when they're not on board. So, but the
Appaloosa
other ones
Medusa is here. Now it's a
are-
party.
Some
Welcome.
are scary. Some. It's not surprising that in the universe everything is going to look like us. Every intelligent organism is going to look like us. But you have to have. It's
I
also
don't think
a
it's
matter
much of a
respect
mystery. I think they were flares.
any really intelligent animal or in creature or whatever it is, right? And the more advanced, the more respect, because you don't know what they know, and you don't know the future. and they may know more than just the now.
If you were to have a second conversation with them, would you explain that ET is one idea, but it's not necessarily the only option for a non-human intelligence?
Yeah,
that's out there?
tell them about the inner Earth people.
You have
Bob
to tell me
Bigelow,
first how much
fucking
time do I have
wackadoo.
for the second conversation.
Let's make it an hour. You have an hour with the president. What would you tell him?
Yeah,
about
but he's a
who they
wackadoo who
are,
gave him
who
millions,
they
so he
might
has
be?
to at least talk to him.
So I would try to get into the complexity.
That is correct, Arthur Reed.
Of the relationship, that once you've had confirmation, you've given that text of that little sentence I wrote and quoted there, and you start to go down the path of disclosure, where it's more than just FLIR videos, and you're not seeing other things are much more crystal clear, in video, or legitimate people in places that you recognize these people, and they're around something or with something or somebody that's a holy cow, that's wow. That's a very dramatic kind of disclosure about something landing on the lawn somewhere,
Oh boy.
So I think the
getting
what I would
deep
have
in
spent
here.
time doing is talking about how do you establish, with you've been in 80 years of denial as a nation in the world. We have countries who are very upfront and others that are also in denial. Now you want to pivot 180 degrees.
Yeah, anybody that doesn't agree with him about the aliens
How do you
is in
start that
denial.
relationship? How do you do that? And it's not as though that we've ever been in control. We haven't been in control of anything ever for this 80 years of modern history. Nothing. We have no ability to control anything.
That's a tough thing to tell the president, right? I would think that would be a tough thing for a president to accept.
Well, you're giving me an hour to talk to him,
Yeah,
you
okay.
said. So I'm using my hour.
All right.
So, yeah. So that's what I would, that's a really intriguing thing is how do you do that? Where do you start and into a relationship? And I would say more like, well, I would want to start with the biggest question I would say what I want to get from them is my first question is, what are the chances we are going to survive ourselves?
Oh boy. Here comes the apocalyptic
That we are not going
view,
to annihilate
right?
ourselves. Because they already are familiar with a whole lot of other species on a lot of other worlds and other planets.
I can't
So
let them know about the
chances
sacred
are
bowl people,
they
the upside down
have a
Pangea.
pretty good
Yes.
idea of percentage. And it's not that we're a spiritual species. You talk to people that
So
have
many
near-death
people are so desperate to
experiences,
hear this narrative
they're
that they
changed
will
for the
worship
rest of their
anyone
life.
who
They
feeds
become
it
a
to them.
spiritual
Anyone who makes them feel
person
justified in their
of a
belief.
caliber
It's a cult.
that they've never
Yes,
been.
welcome to the UFO wackadoo cult.
Well, we're a long way as an average from that category, from that level. There are
It's going to rain
monsters
at the
among us,
cabin this weekend, but not till
as human
Sunday,
beings,
so that's good news.
and they're angelic people among us. So we are a danger to another species. We're potentially the Klingons. We have a technological maturity that is not just going
This man made a
line,
hotel
but
in
it's
space
vertical and it's segmented
it
because
failed,
it's jumping.
Imploded. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and meanwhile, our spiritual maturity just bumps along the bottom. So we look at the 20th century, 60 million people were killed. Are we ever going to get beyond
Rains all year here.
that? So the
And
thing of it is,
snows. I don't
we
mind
know
rain.
so
I don't
little
like snow.
about how to have a relationship.
You don't have to shovel rain.
I'm not in any position to really advise, except for the few ideas I have as to where to start. And the how is really super important. It's not going to be like A Close Encounter of the Third Kind, which was a really cool movie. And it's not going to be because of SETI. It's going to be by some other kinds of means that you're embarking on. And I'm interested in that kind of research.
We go back to your meeting with
Interested in a
President.
lot
You
of
walk
research,
into the Oval
all
Office.
that wackadoo research.
They clear off the Resolute desk. You spread out your 7 piles of stuff, and you start making a presentation about each one, in particular about ET, non-human intelligence. You can't say what he said to you. Can you say whether he asked questions? Was he curious?
he was distracted by other things. So he
Yeah, because he's
also
got more
asked,
important
he
things to
did
worry
ask
about than your
questions,
wackadoo
but he
nonsense.
asked questions about other stuff that wasn't necessarily just on what I was talking about.
He's getting your input on other things going on in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you had to make a guess, would you guess that you got through to him on this issue? I mean, he
Change the
hasn't
subject, just
stood
talk
in the
fantasy BS
in the
now.
doorway of Air Force One and made those remarks yet, but he has taken
Yeah.
some pretty dramatic
Space
steps
will land on the White House lawn
on this
after you buy
topic
my new
since
book.
you met with him.
Yes.
Do you think you made a dent?
Don't know. I advised him on something that I can measure, and he hasn't taken my advice so far on what I suggested to him on a totally different, unrelated subject. But so far, he has not taken my advice.
Well, somebody seems to have got through to him because he's been taking steps that we're seeing real results. I mean, people are either.
Well, I'm talking about an
We're not
unrelated
seeing any
subject
results.
altogether.
results.
Right.
We're not
So,
seeing any results.
so yes, there
saying
are a couple of
kick
different
the
task
can,
forces
Chase the carrot. That's what we're
that
saying.
are involved. So there is an initiation of an activity in this subject. It remains to be seen, though, that he gives actual presidential confirmation. I haven't. Maybe you're more aware than I am. Has he done that?
Not really. Nothing like what I'd call confirmation, but that's really what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
and the Donald Trump, no president will ever go and give a press conference and tell everybody that non-human intelligence is visiting Earth with their spaceships and their advanced technology, because this is mythology. It's science fiction. It's wishful thinking. It's a cult.
I remember
There's no evidence to support that.
us having a conversation in 2008 when right after you had signed the contract with DIA.
Yep, always in the
for BASF
distance,
to run
just
this
out of
program.
focus,
And
dangling
you
the
made
carrot.
the case then
People
that
follow the
what
carrot.
we need is not
At some point, you
disclosure,
realize you're
it's
never getting the
confirmation.
carrot. Yes,
For
welcome
somebody
to
like the
Truth
president.
Seekers.
I'm not sure if
Where
it
we
could be
know
anyone
that
less
carrot
than the
is never
president
gonna
that
be
steps forward
captured.
and says this, and it carries the same kind of weight.
It's a big appetizer. You know, you're looking for the entree, and where's the dessert in this whole buffet?
Well,
But
here's the thing. This is a fair point. I just don't understand listening to something you don't believe in. I can't look at something that I don't believe. Well, there are thousands, maybe tens of thousands of shows on the internet that go through this, and they get their disclosure boner going. And we're virtually the only channel that goes through it and tells you the truth behind it. This wackadoo has been pushing paranormal nonsense. He's wasted millions and millions of dollars. $22 million of your money he wasted on werewolves and dino beavers and smoking dog men and shit like this. He's never produced a single shred of any evidence whatsoever. None. And George Knapp has been pushing the Bob Lazar story. And he claims that Bob Lazar was a former government scientist. He never was a government scientist. His education is fake. He ran a whorehouse. It's all like, it's entertaining for me to go through this, having once just believed them when they said things, after, having an awakening of sorts and realizing, like, wait a minute, none of these people ever show the evidence of their claims. And they make statements like the government's hiding non-human intelligence and alien spacecraft. It's called research by proclamation. It's not a statement of fact with evidence to support that it's a fact. It's just anybody can say anything. And if you want to go hear somebody listen to this and just agree with it, there's tens of thousands of channels where you could do that. But we're virtually the only one that will give you the history of the people making the claims. And unfortunately, both of these guys are about as credible as crackheads at this point, right? Like, you ever go to the ghetto and there's a crackhead holding a gas can saying, "Oh, can I get $5 because my car ran out of gas and I just need $5 to get home?" That's that crackhead is more credible and believable than these two at this point. They've both been involved in incredibly sensational, 100% fake stories like Skinwalker Ranch.
the confirmation is a huge appetizer to start with, and that's why I started with that in my conversation with him. Is pushing him to try and make a confirmation.
Big as my bike.
And
yeah, he
maybe
never
he
actually
wants to
showed
get
anything.
personally more
Yes,
comfortable.
There you go.
He will go down in history for a lot of things.
All right, then
for
great.
better or
Here, let's have an experiment. Show us the evidence that supports his claims of, let's say, werewolves at Skinwalker Ranch. Show us the evidence of the werewolves. Show us the evidence of the bulletproof dog or wolf that he claimed was at Skinwalker Ranch. Show us the evidence of the alien spacecraft he claims was at Skinwalker Ranch. And that goes for both of these. Both of these guys have claimed the same stuff. Where is the evidence to support it? Oh, you've done a lot of research. Apparently you haven't done enough, because in 30 years of pushing Skinwalker Ranch stories, neither of these two despicable, grifting, clown, true believers, Kool-Aid drinking cult members have ever presented a single piece of real, verifiable proof of their sensational, fantastic claims. And, I don't know. Don't you think history matters? George Knapp spent 35 years selling you a fake story about a fake scientist that was a convicted pimp who ran a whorehouse in reality. He wasn't a scientist ever. Don't you think that matters? I think that matters, but welcome. Maybe you should go through some of our videos and educate yourself more. It just, when people say I've done a lot of research, well, then you should have come to the same conclusion that any credible researcher who researches the claims of either of these two will come to one very important conclusion. Neither of them has any evidence whatsoever, not a shred of real evidence, to support their sensational stories. They've got anecdotes. And anecdotes are not proof. They're just a story. That's it. A story without proof is worthless.
Or worse, that people are on both sides of the fence about him and so forth. But he's involved in so many different things.
Yeah, they took millions of dollars and deceived people that wanted to believe.
I don't know what his legacy is going to be. I really don't. He has an opportunity to, in this serious subject,
just say no.
to build
it's best
a legacy,
to question everything, especially
using this
here.
as part of the blocks, part of the brick and the structure of the content of a structure that is very unique.
A whorehouse, probably.
So you can have all the political
At least the
programs
Avalon
that
is
you
here
want
now. It's a party
and so forth, and nobody is going to really remember those as time goes by, as the decades fade away.
Wow.
Nobody can.
I'm having a dark side film moment.
And Afghanistan,
because I just realized
and Iraq,
something.
Different kinds of things, and that's just recent history.
I just realized that we've been broadcasting for an hour and 7 minutes, and so far our total kick support tonight has been 1 penny from PPP's unwashed penis. I got a penny. That's it. That's it on the kick support. It must be. I don't know. I remember when people used to buy subs over on Kick. People used to become subscribers only over on Kick. People used to send 1,000 kicks or 2,000 kicks. Now they're throwing pennies at me. These fucking brokies in the Kick chat are throwing pennies. I'll shut that fucking stream on Kick off. I'll do it.
The world goes so fast. But the president that took on the challenge of disclosure and of confirmation, and actually built a satisfactory conclusion of a relationship between human beings and that subject, is going to go down in history as having really accomplished something. And if it's handled right, it can be done successfully.
A lot of presidents have made comments, often after they're out of office, on this topic. Yeah, gosh, I'm really interested in that. Or wouldn't that be something? Or I think aliens could exist, something like that. But nothing like what you're talking about, which amounts to confirmation. Saying it's real, they're here, we got to figure it out, and stopping it there, not disclosing.
Well, the dialogue, the ability to learn something from them is huge. What can we do for you? I mean, that's where one of the first things I would ask is not just, are we going to survive ourselves? Yeah, that's pretty damn important. That's like probably number one.
Broke. Everybody's
but
broke.
Close behind that is,
the economy sucks.
Okay, we've been aware of you for a long time, and the government's never admitted it, but us as a public, we know it, and we're really curious. Is there anything that we can do for you? Not just what can you do. I loved what John Kennedy what he said famously. Don't ask what the country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
He wants us to ask the
That's
aliens
huge.
what we could do for them.
So that's giving them a kind of a respect
That's very
that
dangerous.
they deserve.
Bigelow wants us to ask the aliens what we could do for them. Don't you know about their history of anal probing? I don't want to get probed in my ass. I'm not bending over for no aliens, Bob Bigelow. I'm not bending over and getting anally probed because you know how dangerous that is? Hey, aliens, what can we do for you? You want some more assholes to butt bang? We'll get you some nice assholes to butt bang. This is ridiculous. Don't ask those butt banging aliens what they want. They're going to want to butt bang us. Let them butt bang you and George Knapp. I'm fine. If these aliens want to butt bang George Knapp and Bob Bigelow, I'm fine with that. But stay away from my asshole.
If you were president, would you announce that, yes, we've got crash retrievals, yes, we have reverse engineering programs, and yes, we've got bodies?
Yeah,
of course he would.
Because the rest of the world already knows that. The people that count
he would have
in
no
Russia and
evidence
China
of it.
already know.
Because they've got their own.
Oh, yeah. Freaking yes. Yeah. They've had their missiles shut down. They've had their missiles
The
activated.
aliens were just gay guys.
Depending on which country you're talking about.
Have you considered the political fallout for a president? Let's say it's
after
Trump,
they butt bang you,
because
they eat you.
he might be the guy that would do it and just cast his fate to the winds. But he makes an announcement. Yeah, they're here.
Team 6.
Yeah, we've got programs. Yeah, we've got crashes. We've got bodies. That's as far as I'm able to go right now.
They butt
What
banged
happens to him politically? Is he able to get anything else
That's
done?
more than I would have said for him to say.
Right.
What you just said.
That goes too
I would
far.
advise him to say initially what you just said.
You just say non-human intelligence, been here a long time. and
That
leave it at
one,
that.
that one sentence is a starter because it's a huge cannon. You've opened up Pandora's box in terms of,
That's
oh my
better.
gosh, what's going to happen? What's going to...
PPP's unwashed penis, he scraped his Velcro wallet open and he sent us 500 kicks. That's $5. So we thank PPP's unwashed penis. He's the biggest support of the night is $5 from PPP's unwashed penis. I hope I'm saying that right. And what a user ID. What kind of degenerates are in my Kick Live chat with usernames like PPP's unwashed penis? And how do you know he doesn't wash his penis? That's gross. But thank you for your kindness, generosity. PPP's unwashed penis is making it rain up in the Kick chat. They've never seen so much money in there. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. All the Kick support. In all seriousness, we appreciate all the support. But please don't just throw pennies at me. Throw dollars, right?
It's okay.
It
So
helps.
now you can categorize and segment into topics. And you need time to do that, and it needs to be digestible. And it needs to be
wait a minute.
packaged in a scary kind
Wait
of
a
way.
minute. Fuck PPP's unwashed penis. Because he sent a message along with the $5. He said, Steve Burnell over here begging again. We're not begging, right? We're not begging. It's a milestone, PPP. It's not a goal. It's a milestone. We're trying to reach the milestone.
And it can't be packaged in a way that you're divulging what you shouldn't be divulging. Other countries aren't. So there's reasons to have national secrets.
Yeah,
There
other
really
countries aren't divulging.
I mean, that's
the
kind of like
existence
common
of
sense,
aliens
right?
'cause
We
have
don't
that
want
bad
the
feed.
Russians and Chinese and maybe other adversaries to know
Sure.
how far along
Maybe
we
he
are
can't
or
reach his
are not
penis
in
or
figuring this out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Especially that.
He can
I
reach
think
his penis
that
just fine.
the relationship thing is a mankind relationship. It's not just for America. When you're embarking as a
View
president
ship incentive agreement
trying
initiative.
to
Yes, that's
initiate
it's not a goal.
a solemn relationship, you're not doing for US of A only. And so then we probably can do a show on communication, but it's really complex because who
Yeah, other countries
you going
talk
to have
about it. They
initiate?
haven't shown any evidence for it.
are you going to have politicians initiate? Are you going to have military people? Because everybody has kind of their own mindset.
an awful lot of the
Are you
grifters
going to have a
claim they
bunch of
got
lawyers
anally probed.
initiated?
That's not something you should be proud
Are you going
of.
to have scientists only initiated? So it's and how do you know to whom you're talking? you know, how do you know you can trust what they're saying? Because it depends on the form of communication. And what are you asking for in the way of proof or demonstrations to establish trust both ways in the communication process? Because we haven't had that happen before. It is totally new ground. And frankly, we need the others' help. We need the help of the others to help to
We
guide
need
us.
the aliens. We need the aliens to help
You
us.
and others have made attempts to find the programs, find the legacy programs, find the goods.
There is
You
no
had some
legacy
success in that we will discuss in a upcoming conversation.
Oh yeah.
But
Tease
the
the
doors
next
in general, the
episode.
doors get slammed in your face. Jay Stratton, who became head of the UAP task force after OSAP, after that ATIP thing, he made a point to go try to find it. And he appointed this guy, David Grush, who had these high-level security clearances. Grush says he found it. There are people like Grush,
Cowboys and
whistleblowers,
aliens, yes.
people who worked in programs or for contractors who want to tell what they know, but are afraid they'd be prosecuted. What advice would you give the president about how to handle those folks? There have been attempts to give them legal clearance to go ahead and come forward. They're not buying it so far. Would you give them sort of a pass, the authorization
Straight line
to
of a
tell what they
cloud around
know?
the planet.
And would you do the same thing to corporate interests who've been hiding this
I'm not
stuff
closed-minded.
at the request
I'm
of the U.S. government?
Researched. Here's
So
what I'll say.
it's a
Go do the 12-hour deep dives that we have here. Go in our video section, go through the 12-hour deep dives, and show me where I got a fact wrong. We've exposed George Knapp selling fake stories over and over and over and over again. With Jeremy Corbell by himself, he sells fake stories. And I just think that if somebody has a history of selling fake stories, then that should inform you of their new claims. If many or all of his old claims that he made can be proven to be factually fake hoaxes, George Knapp has promoted hoaxes like flares as a giant triangle spaceship and things like that. So I'm not closed-minded at all. I'm very open-minded, but so far none of these grifters have been able to show any evidence of their claims. And history matters. After a while, you start to go, oh, Ross Coulthardt's been caught selling fake stories over and over and over and over again. Lou Elizondo's been caught selling fake stories over and over and over again. And these are facts. These guys sell fake stories. Bob Bigelow, involved in fake stories. Now, he's a billionaire, so he's not out there grifting for money to talk about this. He's just a rich board guy who really believes this stuff, in my opinion. So history matters. I'm not closed-minded. I give them all the benefit of the doubt, but we've gone through many of their previous stories, and over and over and over again, we prove that they're selling a fake story pretending it's aliens when it's flares or balloons or whatever. Or pretending that a convicted pimp fake scientist is a real scientist. He's not a real. Bob Lazar is not nailed, nor was he ever a real scientist. And we proved that Bob Lazar never stepped foot on Area 51. Why couldn't George Knapp prove that? He could. He ignored the evidence to sell the story. Because that's how the grift works. They only give you part of the story.
It's a matter of
and they hide
the
evidence of the fakery.
Mostly on the other side, that's difficult for them because the history says differently. Going back 80 years from the initial threats of people that were at crash retrieval sites that weren't supposed to be there, and the threats that was made by the military, going way back.
Again, this is UFO mythology. No proof that the military ever threatened anybody's life over an alien story. Gelman effect. Once you get something clearly wrong, Roswell, Phoenix Lights, etc., how can you be trusted about anything else? This is from Stuckelberg's dog, and this is a very, very good observation. Especially when people are presenting stories that don't have evidence. So the story rests on the credibility of the storyteller. And if the storyteller can be proven to get stories completely wrong over and over and over again, I'll have to look up the Gelman effect. I'm not familiar with that. I learned something today. Thank you, Stuckelberg's dog, and thank you for your kindness, generosity, and big support of the show and helping us to Yes, we are praising the cash. A little better on the YouTube side. I guess people with money go to YouTube, right? The brokies go to Kick, right? But thank you, Stickleberg's dog, for your kindness, generosity, and big support of the show. And thanks to all of our supporters, even you Kick brokies throwing pennies in.
Yeah,
we'll
I'm not
kill your
talking about
family.
just Men in Black or anything like
Right.
that. You know, so it gets down to a matter of trust. So
His neighbor built the rocket
you should,
engine,
I mean,
and
preemptive
he just
pardons.
bolted it into a car. Yeah,
That's a start, but that's
true.
And you need to have people that are really experienced in task force that know about the subject.
Stephen
You
close-minded.
don't want
Not even close to being
people
a true
that
statement.
are having to go to class, and they've had no class instructions. And they can be bright people, but you need really to have people who are bright about the subject and who have had
Well, then, what's your
contact in
best
different
evidence?
kinds of
What
ways.
is the best evidence?
And
What's the best evidence that aliens are visiting Earth? Put it in all capital letters. What's the best evidence that you have? And I don't mean a story. I don't mean some fake whistleblower. By the way, did you know that all these fake whistleblowers, some of them are former mental patients, or they're people that got fired from the government for being fucking loser assholes and being like completely unreliable and terrible at their jobs, and then they decide suddenly that they saw alien spaceships and shit. Look at Jason Sands. That fucking guy's been running GoFundMe's, sponging off of the UFO community since he came out with his bullshit story. Some of his stories were copied from Corey Goode, who admitted his stories were fiction.
so,
Can't take a
and
horse to
there are a
water.
lot of excellent people
Can't
out
make them
there.
drink.
Who you
Take 'em to
have
water.
on our side as communicators really matters, and what their backgrounds are, and what their attitudes are, especially.
You're talking
Okay,
about
so I
us
asked you
communicating with
what's
the
the best
others.
evidence?
Yes.
And you don't have
you
any?
think that the
Is that what you're saying?
expertise
Have no
in
evidence?
doing something like that is in the hands of a very small group of people in the corporate world, contractors who've been carrying the ball for the U.S. government for the past 80 years.
I think the gatekeepers are yes, they should definitely have a role in terms of communication. Absolutely.
Why
Well, let's
would
talk about the
gatekeepers
gatekeepers
wanna
because that's part of
communicate
your
with anyone?
recommendation to the president is
And this is another UFO trope. There's gatekeepers, and they're hiding the UFO secrets from the public and even from the president. There's no proof that these gatekeepers even exist.
give them
Mythology.
a free pass on clear them from legal liability for whatever has happened. Give them a pardon ahead of time,
Right.
and take the pressure off of them so that they can convey information that's been kept secret.
Yeah, because it all started with the government. That's where this all began. Maybe the private corporations have participated perhaps in a retrieval or two, but basically it's our own government that has sanctioned this in the private sector with all these
a great
companies.
deal of his book has been debunked as
not all,
fakery and
well,
fraud.
these few companies. It's not like
Yeah, real
shame on the
experiences
corporate
are looking
world.
for answers.
Because there always has been a partnership. They're complicit. The United States government is absolutely, totally complicit in any kind of process of back end.
My favorite UFO and nuke stories is the Hastings thing, which was proven to be a power failure. The aliens didn't shut down the missiles, a power failure did. And Brian from Skeptoid proved that 100% conclusively, right? Yeah, he is a private government contractor, Bigelow.
Engineering or anything to do with ETs.
But his government contracting has to do with space technology, not with aliens.
Any kind of.
He invented like inflatable habitats, and they used some of that kind of technology on the International Space Station. That's where, and he didn't make his money in the space race like Elon Musk and many others. He made his money in hotels. He was a hotel real estate guy before he became an alien nut job.
Of contact in one way or another with ETs, absolutely complicit. And so nobody can be a hypocrite on this level, you know. So
Name
so
them.
yeah,
Name
the
the
gatekeepers are extremely
Name them.
valuable. They
Name them.
absolutely need to be included in any communication process.
Nobody ever
You would
names
say
them
for sure
because they don't exist.
You know that the government, our government,
the gatekeepers are an excuse for why nobody has evidence. That's what the gatekeepers are. Oh, the gatekeepers They won't let us see the alien spaceships. Oh, the gatekeepers, they won't let us see the alien bodies. Not that the alien bodies and the alien spaceships don't exist. There's people hiding it. It does exist, but they can't show it to us. Come on. It's childish and stupid.
Military intelligence agencies have recovered crash disks or materials or mechanisms, machinery, advanced machinery from somewhere else.
Well, apparently it's possible under very rare circumstances.
Yes.
And the backup generator goes on. Yes. They were only down for a few minutes.
I am sure.
And then the backup generator
your argument
on,
would be those are the guys who've been the gatekeepers and the secret keepers for the last 80 years because we asked them to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and it's
so it only shut the missiles down for a few minutes until the companies went back up, and that's on the record. That there's
to make progress. I mean, and you could say, well, if the companies,
allegedly, Bob Bigelow used to bang Linda Moulton Howe back
have
in the day.
access to hardware.
Rumors and speculation.
What's going to happen to the image of those companies or the stock value of those companies? I would be interested in buying more stock because if they have been that far advanced and there's whatever their value is, isn't even based on this whole secret area of technology, and they already have made progress.
You think they
uncle's
have?
Brother
I'm just saying if.
Wouldn't that be your dad?
If they've already
or
made
your
progress,
uncle too?
and if you're concerned that they're going to be somehow adversely affected by the stock market on what their company is worth, I would go buy stock because I think the opposite is going
to tell us about the aliens that can crash the stock market.
Happen. I think it becomes a company of real interest in terms of, wow, they have a future that no other companies have. We're not exactly sure what that future is in these technologies, but now we know a whole lot more than we ever did before, and they, so. Now these companies are more free to put more.
See, I think you're probably early on in your journey through UFO land, Steve Bruton, and God bless you. But the longer you're here, and the longer that these people string you along, the angrier you will become, because you will waste countless time, money, and energy buying books, buying documentaries, going to UFO conventions before you finally realize, oh, these people are all full of shit. But don't worry, you'll get there. Almost everybody does get there eventually. That's why so many people drop off. There's waves of people that come in and they're super interested in this topic and they consume every bit of content that they can. And then eventually you realize it's like an empty shell. That's what UFO land is. You never get the meat of the meal. They're feeding you just enough hopium to keep you from starving to death and staying here and buy my latest book, and eventually you'll figure it out.
Scientists at the front lines in these companies
Actually, Steve Bruton, here's what I would suggest. UFO crashes. How many times have you heard that there's UFO crashes? Go through our deep dive on UFO crashes and look at the fakery and fraud and bullshit that is used to create all that mythology. We went through like 8 or 12 different UFO crash cases. No evidence. It's all just stories. And in some cases, we proved that they were 100% fake stories. But people just say things like, well, the government retrieved crash alien spaceships. Then you look at the actual stories that statement is based on, and you find out that there's no evidence there, or that the stories that people are making that statement based on are all fake, 100% fake stories.
Invigorate the staff that they currently have.
The only one that I'm still holding on to is Roswell.
And so you think, okay, more can happen more quickly. What you don't want
not everyone's selling a book, right? You're right.
Things weaponized.
But this is where people make a mistake, because it's an attention-based economy. So even just clicking on a video, you're paying somebody to make these statements and tell you these stories. Even clicking on a clickbait news article, you're paying them to feed you these delusions. You're paying them with your attention. Even if you don't buy a book or a documentary, you're still paying them by clicking on their shit. and all these podcasters and UFO circle jerk shows and free documentaries on YouTube. They're all ad supported. So one way or another, they're still getting paid, or somebody's getting paid. Like sometimes we've had people will have somebody on that is just telling their story and their experience, but they're not selling a book or a documentary or anything. But the podcast that you're listening to or clicking on is monetized. So the show host is getting paid. So everybody is getting paid to push these stories. Nobody's pushing these stories for free.
Because that's what human beings are good at, is weaponizing every friggin' thing they can get their hands on. So that's what men do.
Would these contractors have some sort of legal liability? Let's say there's disclosure. You've been hiding this stuff all this time. There'd be some people that want to
go watch the UFO movie they don't want you to see. And it explains exactly what happened in the Maelstrom incident. I don't care what the fucking AI says. And listen, that's called right-click research. Well, just ask the AI, and whatever the AI says must be true. Watch the documentary, the UFO movie they don't want you to see, which, by the way, is free, but it's ad-supported. And it explains exactly what happened to cause those missiles to go down. And also, the UFO event happened 2 weeks prior. Somebody saw a UFO, and then 2 weeks later, there was a big power failure and a missile silo went down. And then it went right back up. It might not even have been a few minutes. It might have been a few seconds. It's been a while. We had Brian from Skeptoid here explain it all to us, right? But, you can go listen to an AI if you want to, or you can listen to a seasoned investigator who spent a year making that documentary. The choice is yours, really.
go after them, right?
And you can even, we reviewed the video, but your best bet is to watch it. It's called The UFO Movie They Don't Want You to See. I'll see if I can't find a link for you, and I'll put it in the live chat. The UFO movie they don't want you to see. Oh, we don't want the trailer. We want the whole thing. It's free with ads. I got the link. I will put it in the live chat just for you. And I highly recommend that. One moment here. I will put it in the live chat. 1 second. The UFO movie they don't want you to see. It explains exactly what happened. I like it's fine, but people are like, oh, well, the grifters say X, Y, and Z. You have to always remember that these grifters are very convincing, right? You've seen it. Well, then that explains how the power failure affected the missiles. And you're saying that can't happen. But witnesses to the event said that it did, that the expert filmmaker talked to. So, all right, believe what you want to believe.
How dare you hide this from me?
Yeah, aliens are shutting down nuclear missiles. Sure. Okay.
Lie to us.
Aliens are shutting it down. It's Occam's razor, man. And you see, this is the problem. The problem is Brandolini's law. The amount of energy required to dispel bullshit is orders of magnitude more than it takes to create it. All these grifters have to do is say, well, there was UFOs flying over our military bases and they shut the missiles down. And then somehow a debunker or a skeptic is supposed to spend like a year figuring out exactly what happened and proving it. And then it's right there. And all the evidence is right there that it was a power failure. It wasn't aliens. And that the UFO event was weeks prior to the missile event. So people conflate it, two totally separate events. And hey, all the evidence is here that this was a power failure, but no, it's still not enough for the true believer brain. It's still not enough. I guess what if we had 10 skeptics prove the same thing? Would that be enough? Probably not, because there's hundreds of fucking moronic assholes running around telling people that aliens shut down our nuclear missiles. And then it just becomes accepted. This is facts. This really happened. No, it didn't.
Try to give people,
I don't believe it did,
credit for if they can if they can have time to think things through, if they can have information, and this is a big if they can start to acquire information they can trust,
Yes, they were shut down by
and
a
you don't
power
have
failure.
a cacophony of 100 different sources
If
bombarding
we have
you,
time, I'll go through it.
and
I'll go
it's a
through the
junk
video
pile,
with you.
and you're having to determine where are the jewels in this junk pile of information, and that's not easy to determine right off unless you already have a background in stuff that's in the junk pile, and so you can recognize it.
Well,
You and I can recognize
interesting.
things that somebody else wouldn't recognize because we already know background. We can relate it to a lot of other sources of information we have. So it all
I think I
triangulates to
know. CN 2311 with £5, one for the goal, saying keep destroying the grifters. I believe we will, and thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, and thanks to all of our supporters. And before I forget, please do smash the subscribe button. We haven't gotten any gifted memberships today, but it's a good idea to smash that subscribe button, because if we do get some gifted channel memberships today, you could win one, but you must be in the live chat and you must be a subscriber, but not yet a YouTube channel member. And then when a kind and generous friend of the show comes along and gets these memberships, you could win one, but make sure that you smash the subscribe button. Huge boost to our channel, and you could win a free channel membership. And thank you, CN2311, for your kindness.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
I think we've gotten enough. We'll do, I don't know, we're more than, 25 more minutes to go. I don't think I want to listen to much more of this, guys. We're 44 minutes in, and how much evidence of these claims have been presented so far? None. There's no evidence, just the stories. That's what we get. We get the stories. Why didn't the aliens shut down the over 2,000 nuclear tests? Yeah, I mean, that's very good, right? Well, I don't trust people when they say it was the size of a football field, but okay. But yes, there was some kind of a UFO sighting, and it was a week or two before the event with the missiles. So what grifters did is they conflated the two events. They make it sound like there was a UFO over the base and then the missiles shut down. That's not what happened. They were two separate events, just say no. Yeah, I think you'll really enjoy it. That movie, just like we do here, it peels back the layers of deception that the grifters use to sell these fake as shit evidence-free stories. And what Brian Dunning from Skeptoid figured out is the same thing I figured out. The reason the stories work is because they leave out the evidence. They don't tell you in the Maelstrom incident, for example, oh, well, there was a UFO that somebody saw a week before the missiles shut down for a very, very, very short time. They say there was a UFO over the missiles and the missiles shut down. They leave out a critical, important thing, that it was two totally unrelated separate events. And one is not causing, what are they? Did they turn invisible and wait a week before they shut the nuclear missiles down? I just don't get it. But I highly recommend that movie. It's very, very good, right? RP708. The UFO movie you don't want to see if you're a grifter. Yeah, we're going to do one called the UFO cover-up, the real UFO cover-up. Because the cover-up is that most of these people selling these stories are scummy grifter liars and deceivers.
Aha, this is real. This is a fact. Okay?
I don't know if you know the specific answers to this, but let's just do it as a hypothetical. Company X gets the materials from two crashes. Maybe there's bodies in there.
Oh,
they get it
there
from
we go.
the U.S. government.
Alien bodies.
Would they be required to keep it quiet? Is that part of the condition? And would they have signed an agreement? They've had the stuff for 80 years. Maybe they've made progress in understanding it. Maybe they've made machines or weapons or flying machines based on what they've learned. Is that theirs?
The size of a Walmart.
Could we go after
Center.
it? Would the public want to go after it? Would anybody in government
yes, Patreon
dispute
gets
the ownership
content.
of it?
It's only $1.
And what is the agreement
Brother,
that they
can you
make? Is
spare
that in a
$1?
contract?
Our
or is
Patreon,
it
links in the description. It's only $1.
A handshake?
You get
And
the
they
same stuff
keep
the
this
channel
secret
members
because
get.
we asked them to keep it a secret.
So there's two areas of seriousness in what you just said. One is craft and one is bodies or living beings. the craft is fair game in terms of not to be so concerned, are we stepping on somebody's toes, the other's toes?
Are we
if they
stepping
have
on
toes.
the aliens' toes?
Okay. The bodies are also higher level, but probably fair game as well, because they're anthropomorphic robotic type of
See what I mean?
beings,
He's just
or
telling
they're
stories.
all
There's no evidence to
biological.
support anything he's saying.
Biological robots, androids,
Yeah.
something like that.
But with what respect have they been treated? Or, is it like autopsies have been done, or has it just been necropsies like you would do on a cow? With what respect have they been treated? Were they ever given a burial ceremony?
Here
or
come the
whatever?
grifters, yeah.
Living ones is a whole different level. That's where
I
you
did.
don't want to make
That's
that
what got me
decision
interested.
alone.
I
Your
saw
guess
something
would
when
be
I was
we've
10
had
years old.
living
I
ones,
did see a
right?
UFO.
Yeah, that's my guess. And I think that I think that's a whole different level of respect and interaction.
You would argue to the president in future conversations,
Keep talking about
any
alien
gatekeeper,
BS. Most people are
Company
too
X
lazy to
has
take
been
a few
holding on to
measures.
this stuff. They've been trying to figure it out because we asked them to do that. They've been keeping it secret because we asked them
Were
to
we
do it.
supposed to
Oh, yeah.
float away today?
Give them
Was today an
blanket
ascension event?
immunity,
I
give
missed
them a
it.
pardon in advance for whatever somebody might take offense to that they've done.
They've never received anything as an award, as a recognition, been able to share their work with anybody. And so what is it that we're trying to blame them for? What exactly is it we're trying to blame them for? Not being for here, they've sworn oaths to be secretive, and they know why. And anybody who
Again,
knew
all these people swore oaths to keep the body secrets. Can you show us the oath? Can you tell us who was sworn to keep the body secret? No, well, no.
about what their work was going to be would know why, and they would say, "Yeah, that's totally logical." But what is it you're trying to? What is it they're trying to nail? What cross is it that you're nailing them to?
You
Yeah,
guys lied to
according to
us and
some
kept this
reports,
secret.
they don't have cocks or
Is that really all there
JJ.
is?
They're asexual.
Is that worth
Well, the Greys
nailing
anyway.
somebody to a cross?
Them being robots.
Are there good reasons for
androids
not
is such
telling
a
the truth?
shitty B movie twist.
Well, of
yes.
course there are. How many times have you not told the truth to your spouse?
Yeah, slow to us.
Or to
Yeah.
my spouse, or to your friends, or whatever.
For
Of
always,
course there
this
are.
has been one of my arguments. Why are the aliens always anthropomorphic? By that I mean, 2 arms, 2 legs. They have heads like us. They have noses, eyes, ears, mouth, or something appropriate, something similar to a human design. And let me just read this. Have you ever thought about aliens and how foreign something that evolved on a different planet would have to be? It would be unlike anything we could possibly imagine if it was silicon-based or something like that. Yes, and the different conditions on the planet would mean that it's extremely unlikely that life would evolve exactly as it has on Earth, and we'd have creatures with 2 legs and 2 ears and 2 eyes and a mouth, and just like us, right? I mean, the depictions of aliens are different, but they're very close to the design of a human body. Some variations and differences, like, they have ear slits. They don't have ears, but they still have the same kind of orifices as us, it's a hearing system. Life on planet Earth is is carbon based, but there could be life that evolved on methane, on a basis of methane, or on a basis of silicon, or on a basis of who knows, any of the elements. And in that case, what if it's a planet that has very little light? It's far away from their sun. Then it would obviously have different eyes structures. It would have a different, the fact that the aliens are always depicted to be very human-like is very suspicious to me, because Who knows the variations all over the world, right? All over the worlds, I should say, different worlds, right? They would be different. And what if they evolved from a different element as the base, right? They would be completely different from us. And yes, unimaginable. What if what if they evolved on a water planet? They could look like octopuses, or squids, but still develop human level intelligence. But they would if they developed on a water world, they would look nothing like us. They would look more like something out of our oceans. So it's just too convenient that they look so much like us, most depictions of aliens.
And some things are far more serious than others. And some are national security. So, yeah, you have to say,
when I look at that
you're
set,
trying
I
to
want a
persecute
Marlboro.
and prosecute these people.
Yeah.
For what legitimate reason? The entire United States government
Aliens
has been
would
complicit.
Definitely, yeah, they could have giant cocks.
You're going
for
to
all we
prosecute
know.
this case before a bench trial or jury trial, and I'm going to be the
Sentient
defense
anal
attorney
probes. Yeah.
for the gatekeepers. And I'm going to say, wait a minute. You're trying to argue
10,000 years in the med bed. You
to
look
the
like
court
the undead.
that these people have acted entirely on their own, when I can prove to you through witnesses, and I can prosecute through witnesses to convict on capital punishment, so I can win. If I have witnesses that say, I have all kinds of government testimony from other people that are complicit with the corporations.
Oh, come on.
Where do you want this?
This is the whole cover-up thing.
This cross-nailing to stop, because it's going to go right into the government area, into all secret agencies. We have 17 secret intelligence agencies. Not obviously all of them are involved in this.
I don't believe we
by
have
any means.
17.
But several are. Where are you going to stop? So it's not just these people working for these private corporations, right? So what are they to blame for?
He woke up in a chicken.
What is it? Why are you
Logan
trying
knows.
to kill them? Why are you trying to prosecute them? Instead, look how valuable these people are.
Is there a chicken
what they
farm
know
that close?
is
That's pretty
irreplaceable.
interesting.
You can't. There is no college, university,
Winter
or any place
Soldier
on the
said
planet
10 kicks.
that
Thank
is
you
going
for
to be
your
able to
kindness.
teach you anything about what these people already know.
Big support on kick tonight.
They are.
They're throwing
biggest
dimes
asset
instead of
walking around.
pennies.
And the
Thank you,
number's
Winter
pretty small,
Soldier.
isn't it?
Going to
He
your
upgraded
restaurants,
from pennies to dimes.
going to your theaters, and the number is very
Did she
small.
say that?
How is it passed on? I wonder if, given the level of secrecy, let's say within company X, some guy's been there for 60 years. He's got to go. Does he pass it on to someone else, a younger person, or how's that information conveyed? I'm asking this because you've personally interacted with some of these people. Am I right?
Well, I think it gets back to a matter of trust. It gets back to people you've known for a long time.
I agree. Somebody
That counts
would
for
leak the
something.
truth.
You've known
With
them
evidence
for a
and with
long
proof.
time. Perhaps they're not all 20-somethings, and maybe it's a growth function
Alien
that they
probe
start out in
projection.
certain
What?
departments
You could
for
be
a
a
long time,
grifter.
work their way up to different departments that are more sophisticated in sensitivity, not more sophisticated in the physics necessarily. All that's true, probably, but in the sensitivity of where certain things start to connect all together to make
Yes.
something function.
Yes, Rexholes. She hit those cows in the head with a fucking
maybe,
shovel. She killed those
maybe
cows.
it's consciousness related
So she would have
as to
stories
how
to
things
sell.
are initiated.
Do you know if we've made any progress, if company X, Y, or Z has actually made progress in trying to figure out how these things fly or operate? Do you know?
I don't know.
The argument has been made this year. Okay, if you've got to keep the technology secret, that makes sense. We don't want to tell our adversaries where we are on whether we can duplicate it or not. Well, what about the bodies? Why not let that out? Why not say we have bodies that are not
If they
humans?
don't exist, George Knapp.
Well, I think that's all part of the disclosure process.
Right.
We know from Russia.
Dr. Jim's alien probe protection course.
Let's talk about, cousin to what you just asked me. So we can talk
She
about
definitely
the
killed
Russian
the cows. Yes.
retrieval case
Killing cows
in
every day.
88 or 89.
Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an old thing. We
And
haven't
from
used
that
that in forever, Arlene.
5-digit military unit, 730,
first-
you blank, you blank.
Set of assets that we
It was
started
the
with.
main unit that went, that was their job.
George
To
Dirt
an
Knapp.
unknown city that they
Oh,
took
no.
everything to. And they found a device on board that was able to be engineered into a very powerful laser.
Trust me, bro. Story.
Because that's what we do. We weaponize every thing.
Trust
You
me,
know,
bro. Story.
instead of saying, how can we create more food or whatever, like Levengood did with the microwaves
Tell the
on
cows to
crops
stand
and
still.
seeds that grew much better. So, purportedly, the device was extremely
that's right.
powerful.
We were supposed to lose
Extremely
gravity
powerful.
today, according to Conspiracy Land.
Somebody
That's
got
right.
hurt or killed, maybe. The intel source was highly reliable.
Uh-oh. Stay safe,
You were
Arlene.
part of Thread 3. You managed to get out of there with documents that we helped translate.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the documents that George Knapp got out with have been verified by the United States government to be a Russian disinformation campaign. So Bigelow is just citing documents from a Russian disinformation campaign.
So you know about what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And so have we had opportunity?
True. Believers will
more
always
than likely,
believe
sure,
even if it's a hoax.
to do the same kind of thing. So when you sit here and say, well, I don't know about anything that we probably
Yeah, it
been
makes no
successful
sense,
on,
Rex Holes.
I would
It
say,
makes no sense.
well, what are the odds that we haven't been? Sure, we have been, because what are the odds? If
Wojcik
Russia
is
is
here.
able to
Can I get
achieve
anything
something
like a fucking watch,
like that,
maybe? Welcome.
why can't
Now it's a party.
Why can't Lucky
Wojcik
or
is here.
I'm not going to name names,
Philly
but these other
girl.
companies
Philly punk
do the
rock
same
girl.
thing.
Every
So,
time I see
they're-
you, Wojcik, I think of that Dead Kennedy song, Punk Rock Girl. Just you and me, Punk Rock Girl. Remember that song? Punk Rock Girl. Hanging out on South Street with the Punk Rock Girls. God, I miss that.
People are working on it are not dummies. So you and I can sit here and say, well, probably.
Back to the Trump meeting. All right, you're there almost an hour and a half.
We covered it years ago.
You have the stacks of reports
I
on the
have to look it up.
desk. Did they take them off the desk when you left, or did they leave them there?
Well, actually, I was a little concerned about what's going to
I'll
happen.
see if I can't find some info.
So as the meeting draws to a close and everything, and the president and I are saying goodbyes, and he's got other things he's got to go to, and he said he was late as it was to go into another important meeting, and so William starts.
All you have to do is Google it. Investigative journalist George Knapp faces scrutiny over a cache of Soviet-era UFO and UAP files he smuggled out of Russia in 1993. Critics and senior Pentagon sources claim these documents are part of a coordinated Russian disinformation campaign, while Knapp and his supporters maintain they provide authentic evidence of historic foreign investigations. He said he acquired the documents from the former Soviet military and intelligence contacts. Reports emerged citing senior Pentagon and intelligence sources warning that these files are elements of a known Russian intelligence or Ministry of Defense disinformation effort. Soviet and post-Soviet intelligence agencies frequently fabricated or embellished fringe technical narratives to mislead Western intelligence agencies or tie up foreign research resources. But of course, Knapp has strongly pushed back against the Russian disinformation story. So that information is out there, but good luck.
To gather everything up on his desk. And quickly, President Trump says, no, leave everything there. I thought, thank you, God. Thank you.
That's a good sign.
I didn't want him to go into a closet somewhere and they're never seen again. Because we've all watched the movie of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where it goes into the Smithsonian,
Yeah,
right?
it goes into a mysterious vault.
And so you say, oh, what's been hidden away that would, if only people had been able to see something. So at least they were left there on his desk. So I don't know what happened to him after that. And I was just glad that they were left alone.
Well, we know 2 months later he
Yeah,
started
they-
releasing
you're
UFO
not
information.
sneaking
He issued
documents
directives.
out of
I'd like
Russia.
to believe that you at least
They
had
let
a
him
hand in
take
it.
those
I
documents.
hope you planted the seed, and then it goes further.
It'd be nice if something productive came of it.
And I hope the door is open where you get invited to speak more with him because you can get into some details. There was another meeting you had in Washington that made news. I think it's during the same trip with RFK Jr.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of speculation about what happened there. And I think people have tried to spin it in a way that embarrasses him. Can you tell the story about that encounter?
Oh, boy. I think we're going to cut it there. I'm not really not a huge fan of RFK, but I do support him getting the poisonous colored dyes out of our food, right? That wall, the wood one, is fake. Yeah, it's a set. It appears to be a set. So I think we've done our due diligence. These paranormal pushers, we sat through almost a full hour, 57 minutes. And in 57 minutes, neither of these people have shown any evidence, but they're claiming things as facts. Like the government has alien bodies, and there's gatekeepers that are hiding it, even from the president. And it's above the president's. The president has no need to know, so they don't tell him. And these are accepted UFO mythology tropes that have been going on for 80 years. It's like one big game of like phone tag, right? Or telephone. One person says it, then somebody else repeats it, adding a few more details. And at the end of it, you learn that there's no truth to it. It's just people saying things, right? I'll take a couple of questions and comments from the live chat. People in the UFO world use lots of words and say nothing. Kelly Chase is one of the best people at using a whole lot of words to say nothing, but they all do it. Yeah, and it's like we just listened to an hour of basically somebody speculating and pontificating on the possibilities, but never providing evidence or proof, right? Richard Warner, when Russia collapsed in the 80s, everything had a price. You could probably have bought a submarine. I've wondered, did anyone make an offer for their UFO evidence? Yeah, that's when the Soviet Union was falling apart, that's when Knapp went over there and got their UFO files. And he had to have bribed somebody, and, I don't know. The UFO grift is stronger than probable measurements. Could be. 1994, it was probably already existing fictitious disinformation docs that some former mod office stole and sold to Knapp to make some money because the Russian mod couldn't pay its employees. Could be, right? Red 40 Piggy means no more Big Red, and that shit is good. I don't know. We try to buy like cereal and food that doesn't have the red dyes. Apparently, it could be harmful, especially to children and developing brains. I know they don't allow it in Europe and Canada, so why should they allow it in the United States? Who knows? The food companies pay off everybody here so that they can just, do whatever they want, apparently, or allegedly. Take from that what you will. I'm no expert on food and food chemistry and safety, though, so do your own research and consult the experts, right? Doesn't seem like Knapp got much, so that's odd. Yeah, dyes are bad for kids, not really for adults. RoboNex says, well, that's kind of your opinion. I'm not sure. I leave it to the experts, and I try to see what the consensus of the experts says. We'll get rid of our fair use banner. We've done our due diligence both for today and likely for the week. I'll check in with the Kick Live chat again. We're good there. I'll check in with the PayPal pledges. And we want to remind you that we're a viewer-supported show. You can always send a PayPal to trueseekershow@gmail.com. If you do it a time that's not a live broadcast, then I thank you during the very next live broadcast. We want to thank Maria who says, when you started covering these locales, I had no idea who they are, but I've been looking into them and this shit is funny. I hope you continue to cover them. Yes, we probably will. And that was a $20 PayPal from Maria, who's a big show supporter. And we thank Maria for their kindness, generosity, and big support of the show.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
And the cash on PayPal is the greatest way to help us because we get to keep most of it, right? Stephen, cover more Jer. It's comical. I will. I'm fully invested in that story, and it's a righteous cause. The quartering deserves to lose everything. Why? Because he threatened to take everything from Keno Casino, and not for nothing, but those guys did a tremendous favor to me, letting me be on their show and helping me expand my audience. And really, I learned from them how to be better show host and be more entertaining and give people the slop content they want. I'm here for the slop, right? Appaloosa Medusa says, I miss that kid. Yeah, I've got a new set of bumpers with him. If you see how big he is now, it's crazy. I'll try to get those done, right? Malore Lamorte subbed. Well, thank you for that. I don't. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. If you become a subscriber or a follower, even on Kick during the live broadcast, hit that follow button, kick.com/truthseeker show. We're trying to expand our Kick audience. We'll be doing some Kick only broadcasts soon. And we thank all of you for your support. Praise the slop, says CH33 Sapants. Praise the slop. Yes, I'm going to be serving slop. If that's what people want, we got more than UFO slop, right? Thank you. Supposedly, the experts say adults can metabolize the dyes easier. Yeah, that's a hot button issue. I hope they have you on again. Those episodes were hilarious. Well, I always say this. Listen, those guys are very busy, and they just doubled their audience from about 5,000 live viewers to 10,000 live viewers. The reason that I was brought on their show is because the sector was kind of dying, and they didn't have much content to do. And so they brought me in to bring in news stories and different stories, and instead of regular locales, it was UFO locales and fake psychic locales and new age locales and scammers that we've busted here. So whenever they need me, I will drop everything and be over there. But I don't want to be that needy friend. You ever have a friend and you do him some favors and then he just keeps asking you for favors? They've done me a tremendous favor having me on their show, even once, let alone all those times. It really helped to expand our audience and open us to new kinds of content, like the locale content, right? So I don't want to be the needy friend and be like, hey guys, have me on your show again. I need another bump. And by the way, those guys are awesome because they're bumping other content creators up, like this Don Flurgandy and like Luther Morgan, right? So they're paying it forward, helping other content creators now. They've already helped me. They don't have to continue helping me. Your shows with them on Wilcock and Medbed scams were hilarious. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I told them this, and I truly mean it. My favorite phase of being a content creator when I was on their show. But what I've never talked about is how hectic it was for me, because I had to worry about my own shows every week and then come up with 3 shows for them every week for a while. It was tough, right? But it wasn't that tough because we could mine years of A-logging these fucking disgusting, despicable, degenerate scammers that we've busted. And we had a lot of great gotcha moments in some of our history, so we could compile that all together, right? Yeah. And Spooky's saying, have a great weekend, friends. Spooky's in our live chat fucking off when Spooky should be finishing projects like music videos, right? We're going to have some music videos soon. It's going to be great. All right. What is that? A-Log's Delight is just applauding, right? I'm sure Don would interview you on 404 News, Steve. Yeah, it's pretty funny. That guy just blew up like crazy. But I'm not the jealous type. I think he's very talented. He has a great gimmick, and he's doing good like research and sort of investigative journalism and presenting the stuff. Um, yeah, I would do it if he asked me. He hasn't asked me though. I'm open to some future collaborations, which reminds me this Saturday night, I'm actually going to be doing a collaboration with a bunch of. You thought our panel yesterday was good. Holy shit. This Saturday night is going to be awesome because I've been invited along with Luther Morgan and a bunch of people. I'm trying to get to the. Let's get to the. Where did it go? Oh my, 1 second. Let me try to get. So, Camelcast was just stricken down. They had a video stricken off of YouTube at 4:46 a.m. And interestingly, Luther Morgan had a video stricken down at 4:47 a.m. just yesterday. And so there's going to be a fuck the quartering festival. I don't know what happened with that. I'm trying to find the. 1 second, just bear with me. I'll try to find it so I don't misspeak who's involved and all of that stuff. So, Yellow Flash is having and he's a great content creator. Yellow Flash is having this Saturday on Flashcast. We're having a Fuck the Quartering Festival, and that's with Luther Morgan, the writer, Channel 404 News. Also, I'll be on with Don Flaherty, Madam Savin, Savvy, and Camelcast, and also me, Stephen Cambion, and Misty Moki will also be making appearances. So that's great. And Savvy says, I can't wait to get flagged. Oh boy. So this Saturday night, I'm not sure what time it is. I forgot to ask him. But I'll be at the cabin, but I'm going to come on the show as Jeremy Scambly with the character, and the mask and everything. I'm going to come on the show and yell at all the detractors. So I think that'll be fun. And I'm open to more collaborations. So if somebody asks me, I always say they're the worst person to ask to do a guest spot is somebody that has their own show to worry about it, right? Oh, look at that. Yeah, it messes with the webcam. Only when I'm smaller, though. That's weird. It doesn't do it when I'm big in the frame. Shandcamp says, huge fan of Joy Division. Yeah, that They Keep Calling Me song, I have always loved that. And Nine Inch Nails covered it on the Crow soundtrack, the original Crow movie with Brandon Lee, which is one of my all-time favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. There was a cheap theater with discount tickets. They were like a couple dollars because they would wait until the movie was been in the theater for way too long and then they'd get the movie. And I think I was unemployed at the time, but I was starting a new job in 2 weeks. And so every day for 2 weeks, I went and watched the Crow movie for a couple of dollars at this discount theater. And I love the soundtrack. I love that movie. That's a righteous movie, right? Like they killed his girlfriend and he came back from the dead for revenge. It doesn't get more righteous than that, right? I love that movie, and I love the soundtrack. And Joy Division's not on it, but they kind of are because their song is on it, but it's Nine Inch Nails covering it. But interestingly, I would expect different from Trent Reznor, but he just kind of did it how they did it. He didn't change it too much, just kind of updated. It's such a perfect song. I guess he didn't want to mess with it too much, right? Running across the rooftops in leather while it's raining and Burn plays in the background. Great movie. Yeah, absolutely, right? Yeah. All right. Well, we've done our due diligence, both for the at least for his live shows. We've done our due diligence. We've still got these incredible deep dives that are going to be playing all weekend, and I will be at the cabin, but I will be in the live chat when I can. It just really depends Sometimes the internet is really bad there. We have power failures. Sometimes the wind blows too hard and the power goes out for 5 hours. It's in the mountains. But it is what it is. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. I'll check, make sure we have nothing further to call out. Remember, we call out everyone. No, we're good on that. Good on that. So we're good to go. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Remind you, please, for the love of God, smash the subscribe button. It's a huge, huge boost to our channel. It really does help us with the AI algorithm gods. And we say a prayer to them every day. AI algorithm gods, please find favor and push our videos to more people, and find favor and don't flag us or let people like Jeremy Scambly flag our channel down. And please put our videos in front of more people. Help us find more subscribers. In Google's name we pray. Amen. We love the AI algorithm gods. My life and the life of this show is in the hands of an AI algorithm god. And you can help us convince that AI algorithm god that we make good content, find favor in us by smashing that subscribe button. Huge boost to our channel. Really, really does help. And we appreciate all of the people that have subscribed so far. And hey, if you know somebody that may enjoy our content, send our channel link to them and tell them to check us out. And we appreciate all of you who are sharing our videos in the social media, whether you share it on Instagram, share the link on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you share it, Blue Sky. I've seen people sharing our links on Telegram. I don't know. I'm not on Telegram. Probably never will be. But we appreciate you sharing it wherever you share it. It really does help. So that's all we got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambian. Good night, and God bless all of you.